Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where pharmacists can fill your pet's prescriptions, helping you pamper and protect your pet with pills, peanut butter, toys, and treats. Stop into the store today or visit Safeway.com.
It's opening day for the Rockies. They play on the road in Tampa Bay. Unfortunately, the Rockies are still not expected to be good this year. But hey, catching a game at Coors Field can still be fun. And of course, it's a cherished tradition for many people. I'm Bazi Kanani. Coming up, lights, camera, Sundance. It's coming to Boulder.
When you talk about trade-offs, though, there are headaches that come with hosting this kind of big event.
Also, Colorado-based researchers trying to prevent HIV have lost their federal funding.
The real gut punches happen when you see real people who are now going to die of AIDS.
Plus, a local comedian reflects on life here in his new special.
You tell people you're from Colorado growing up, they're like, do you ride a horse to school?
It's Friday, March 28th. Here's the news in Colorado today. Boulder will host the Sundance Film Festival starting in 2027. It's one of the biggest independent film festivals in the world. Boulder wooed the board of Sundance, convincing them to move it away from Utah, where it had been for about 40 years. CPR's Stephanie Wolf is covering this. Steph, how did this happen?
So the Sundance Institute gave a few reasons as to why Boulder beat out its longtime home of Park City, Utah, and the other finalist city, Cincinnati. They needed a place that could handle a lot of people. And, organizers reported that more than 140,000 tickets were sold for in-person events at last year's festival. And in a news release, organizers cited Boulder's, quote, small-town charm with an engaged community and distinctive natural beauty as other reasons. Additionally, they said Boulder has a welcoming environment, and that's actually led some to speculate how much politics played a role in all of this.
I imagine that has to do with the definition of welcoming.
Yeah, festival organizers did not explicitly note this in any of their communications, but their decision to leave Utah comes as state lawmakers there passed a bill to ban pride flags in schools and government buildings. The state has also passed other anti-trans laws in recent years. By contrast, Colorado has new protections for LGBTQ residents.
Certainly a big festival like Sundance can't be cheap. What's the state giving up in order to get the festival here?
There's a bill before the State House right now that offers $34 million over the course of a decade in refundable tax credits. That bill is in its final stages. It does have bipartisan support, though some Republicans say it's not a good use of taxpayer money. Conversely, the festival reportedly generated about $134 million in revenue last year for Utah. So the lawmakers who do support the incentives say it's a good return on investment. When you talk about trade-offs, though, there are headaches that come with hosting this kind of big event. A theater owner in Utah, Katie Wang, told us she can't complain herself.
But I think what people are worried about, and certainly what Sundance has been quite vocal about, is that it is super expensive, right? Restaurants raise their prices. So I think that's been the unfortunate downside of having the festival, is that over time it's gotten increasingly more and more expensive for lodging.
She also mentioned traffic.
And if we are willing to manage that traffic, does this mean that anyone in Colorado can see films at Sundance? Are tickets available for everyone?
Yes, Sundance is an event that's open to the public. It's for industry insiders and fans alike. You can buy a single ticket to a screening or a package to see lots of films.
Is that expensive? And what else can we see at Sundance?
I mean, it depends on what your budget is. Ticket prices for the festival this year ranged from $35 for a single screening all the way up to a package that cost more than $4,000. But the thing is, the film festival is a really big deal for the industry. It's internationally known, and it's helped advance the careers of cinema greats like Quentin Tarantino and Steven Soderbergh. So you're likely to see a number of celebrities in and around Boulder when the festival comes here. It also historically has featured a number of world premieres. There's usually a mix of feature films, documentaries, and shorts. And the festival typically hosts talkbacks with actors, directors, producers, and others in the film industry.
Thanks, Steph.
Thank you so much.
A pair of Colorado medical researchers who are trying to stop HIV and AIDS got letters this month saying their federal funding has been paused. Arlo spoke with Christine Tagliaferri-Rael and Samantha Stonebreaker, who are part of CU's College of Nursing. He asked Rael first why she wanted to dedicate her career to this field of research.
Well, I grew up, my dad had hepatitis B in 1991. It was the height of the HIV epidemic. It felt like everyone had HIV or knew someone that had HIV. At that time, the medications that you took for hepatitis B and HIV were similar, if you could get medications at all. And so I felt like from the time I was a really little kid, I was steeped in this because I knew that I wanted to make treatment medications, if those were, eventually available, better. And I wanted to do it in a way that would work for people.
So then let's go to this month. Can you tell me a little bit about what exactly you were working on and just how much funding you were getting to do that?
We had about $1 million in total. It supported mainly work around HIV prevention. And our work did focus mostly on transgender women. And the reason it focused on transgender women and the reason that this line of research is so important is because transgender women shoulder a really disproportionate burden of HIV. About 14% of American transgender women are currently living with HIV.
I can see someone asking the question, why would anyone else that's not a transgender woman care about these studies?
Well, HIV is not something that stays isolated in one community if it's left unchecked. So this is a huge issue from both a public health and a healthcare cost savings perspective. The medical costs that are saved by avoiding just one HIV infection are about $229,000.
Samantha, do you have anything to add to that?
I think also just focusing on HIV has really diminished in size over time, and keeping it that way is really important. So we're kind of down to this almost like a funnel effect where we're kind of working on these last couple groups that are really still have a lot of HIV infections. If you stop HIV research and funding for HIV treatment, it just goes right back up the funnel, and then all populations are affected. It spreads globally again.
Take me to the moment that you found out that your funding had disappeared. Did they give any reason for it?
The actual wording from the termination letter says this award no longer effectuates agency priorities. Research programs based on gender identity are often unscientific. It is the policy of NIH not to prioritize these research programs.
Samantha, how do you feel about those letters?
It's almost hard to put words to how sad, I think, and misguided they are. It's just almost even hard to comprehend how someone can decide to make these choices that are going to so dramatically impact public health, people's lives, people's health, and the scientific community for years, generations, decades to come. I almost can't even talk about it without crying or getting so moved that it's just so impactful.
I want to move forward a little to what will happen now. What will happen to your work and what will happen to the people you were trying to help?
Without funding for this type of work, we're going to see a return to the 1990s and the early 2000s. Those were the worst years of the epidemic.
What I immediately wonder is, we've made so much progress thus far. Won't that help keep HIV and AIDS in check to a greater extent than it did in the past?
Not if we have mutations. Not if we have resistance. If we leave HIV unchecked in other places, all of that work will be for nothing. The thing is when something as important as public health and science in general is threatened, you can run and you can hide or you can fight, and I don't hide.
Christine, how can you fight? What does that exactly mean?
I think it means rethinking what we're doing and reimagining it in different ways and going forward with the research that we can do. I also think it means pushing back against these changes and trying to help people and our new administration and new leadership at NIH understand the drastic impacts that this is going to have.
I want to go back a little bit to the story that you shared about your dad. He's the person that got you into this field to begin with. With everything that you just shared, are you thinking about him in this moment?
Yeah, he's the reason I'm here. And I am thankful. He taught me to stand up for what's right. And that's why I'm here.
Samantha, Christine, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.
It's not easy to build a successful career in comedy.
Don't tell, how we doing?
But Colorado's Adam Cayton-holland has managed to do so for more than 20 years now. And he has a new special out today.
Because I was born and raised in Colorado. I'm from here. And when you say that now, I think it means something different than it did when I was a kid. When you tell people you're from Colorado now, they're like, Colorado? Awesome. I hear in Breckenridge, you can heli-ski directly into a hazy IPA. And you're like, only if you're vaping, dude. You tell people you're from Colorado growing up, they're like, do you ride a horse to school? And you're like, yeah, once.
His special was filmed at Denver's iconic dive bar, the Lion's Lair on Colfax Avenue, which is where he first performed back in 2004.
Yeah, man, just a punk rock venue, a dirty, nitty-gritty, warts and all punk rock dive.
Well beyond dive bars, Cayton-holland has also performed on the sets of Conan and Comedy Central Presents. He had his own sitcom on True TV. He wrote an award-winning memoir called Tragedy Plus Time that's now being made into a movie starring Hope Davis and David Duchovny.
Adam Cayton-holland 20 years ago was very wide-eyed, very sort of ignorant of comedy, but excited about it all. And Adam Cayton-holland now is way more seasoned in the comedy landscape, equally ambitious, but a lot more realistic.
Realism in life is a frequent theme in his work.
It's having had really amazing career highs and lows, peaks and valleys, and having had things that if you told me 20 years ago you'd get that, I'd be like, eureka, I won the lottery. And now 20 years in, you're like, oh, it was just kind of another badge on a uniform. And I also know a lot of my idols now, and I know none of them are happy. So I've just kind of learned it's the subjective thing, success in this business.
Adam Cayton-holland's new special, released on YouTube at 6 tonight, is called 20 Years in Comedy, and all I got was this lousy special.
So I like to sort of take you down, maybe it's a really, this is a poetic turn of phrase, and then fart joke. Like, I like this sort of highbrow, lowbrow, or seemingly frivolous thing that suddenly becomes very heavy. To me, that's really funny and sort of just kind of life.
You can hear CPR's whole interview with Cayton-holland and more clips from the new special in the Colorado Matters podcast. Reporting for today's show also came from CPR's Benta Birkeland, Lauren Antonoff Hart, Haley May, Nathan Fernando Frescas, and Ryan Warner. Colorado Today has just finished our first month of episodes. Thousands of Coloradans have found us. Thanks so much for your support of nonprofit local news. Have a great weekend. I'm Bazi Kanani. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where pharmacists can fill your pet's prescriptions, helping you pamper and protect your pet with pills, peanut butter, toys, and treats. Stop into the store today or visit Safeway.com.